Hello, welcome back. Tonight I will speak about a beautiful collection of grimoires that I have written called Galactica. And Galactica includes 11 different grimoires. And it is a part of a special genre of grimoires. To say from the style, it is like dark gothic style. It is part fantasy, part myth. It does not have necessarily a border, no, but it does have a specific taste or a specific feeling, the genre of grimoires. And I have created a playlist for Galactica where I speak about all the 11 different books, different grimoires. They are all books, they are all grimoires, they are all available to be bought on paper as a book to be read. But Galactica is a digital product because it includes 11 grimoires, and the number of pages is very high. It is more than 5,000 pages. That's why it is possible only in digital format to be sold or bought, no? And I have spoken already about all the other 10 grimoires, and this is the last from this collection that I will speak about in this separate video, because I do create for each book or each character, each grimoire, a separate playlist where I talk about the specific thematics that I have included in the books or about the characters of these books. The origin story or inspiration from where these characters come or I have found about them, it is from the book of King Solomon, Ars Goetia. It is, I think, 15th, 16th century book that was written by King Solomon, and he described the 72 spirits of Ars Goetia. Barbatos is one of them, as well as all the others 9. In this collection we only have Lilith, that is not part of Ars Goetia, and she's the only female character that I have written a grimoire until now. I do plan to write a grimoire of Grimoire, which is female as well, or has, so to say, both aspects of female and masculine. I didn't yet started to work on the thematic of Grimoire, but she is represented as a woman. Otherwise, all the other spirits of the Ars Goetia, they're all male or masculine. So Barbatos has a totally different feeling and aspect or everything than the others. So, well, if one can find similarities between all the others grimoires, in Barbatos, not. I'd say the grimoire somehow is separated from the others because the thematic of Barbatos is very different. And the thematic of Barbatos is one that it is hidden. It is a thematic of the magician. To say, well, first and foremost, Barbatos is a dark magician. We say dark in the meaning, we say it does have the meaning of, say, if it's not about the element of dark, it is not a magician. A magician does have that abilities or that power. We say, well, it is specifically for Barbatos. I will speak tonight about the different qualities or aspects that he has, and I will speak about the grimoire of Barbatos as well. So the character of Barbatos, no, he has, as I said, he represents himself. He says about himself that he is a magician of the north. And of course that too can be analyzed, and one can find a lot of meaning in what that means. I say, well, we have all the 4 cardinals points. Now we have the north, we have the south, we have the east and the west. And you say, well, if King Paimon, which is the thematic of my first grimoire, is a magician of the west, Barbatos is the magician of the north, of that cardinal point. And the north is always connected, or the star, the polar star, the north star, is always connected to the night. It is the one who gives the sailors, the direction of the north. One can say where north is, depending where this star is, or correlation to the sun as well, or with other planets as well, depending on the day, or the time during day or night. Say it does shift the The stars too are moving. Everything is moving. Everything is shifting. There's always a movement, no? Even if it is not necessarily visible to the naked eye. But so well, the sailors too have this knowledge, and they know how to read the polar north or the North Star, and are able to guide themselves back home. That is very much a thematic of Barbatos as well. And we find Barbatos, he's very much connected to the outer world, to the outer aspects of type of environments, which does not necessarily has to be a forest or a wood. It can be something else, no? It can be open space. It is that part of the search of the magician, of something that only he can find. It is, say, even Barbatos has a specific goal or a specific role that he works and moves towards. And when I started tonight to speak about Barbatos, or think about before I started to record, I just felt like I didn't know. I almost forgot what I felt and how I wrote the book. It almost seemed like my memories don't, or even my emotion don't show clearly, even if I was able for all the other grimoires. But for Barbatos, for some reason, it does not allow me. It's almost like I had to go back in my grimoire and read and remember. So it was almost like when I was writing it, a form of, I cannot maybe call it relaxation on my side, and that it somehow created maybe that flow in the book or something that made me write it very fast, and somehow the memory of it faded away. But I do remember when I was, of course, meditating on the thematic, and I do remember the aspects of Barbatos that I was trying to analyze and trying to find answers from. And so, well, the first is the way he looks, the representation of Barbatos, and then is, of course, the environment where he presents himself, or the surroundings that I'm able to see, as well as maybe symbols or other things that he carries, or things that he speaks about in the grimoire, no, in his grimoire. So the thematic, what he speaks in the grimoire, is the mastery or the knowledge of the 8 different gates. There are 8 different gates. So say the first gate is patience, the second gate is, and it follows. It has different meanings. And the last gate is Barbatos. The last gate, he says, no one can cross. So there is, to say, a power that is higher than all the others. It is something that only Barbatos carry. And of course, that too has very important meaning as well. So why only him? And it shows now the different levels of his ability. It's almost like it was nothing learned. It is something that he inherited naturally. And being a magician, so well, it is a part of the dark magic, or a dark magician, as Barbatos represents himself. Not in the meaning, of course, of evilness. Dark does not mean evil. Dark in the meaning of that type of science, no? That the magician focuses his life on. It is a search for a specific thematic. It can be one thematic, it can be more thematics, it can be different thematics. And the thematic of Barbatos is the thematic of the gates. And he expresses that type of knowledge in this grimoire, what those gates mean, and how it's more the story developed around this thematic of the 8 gates. From the representation of Barbatos, we say, well, we do have the color green, which is very much connected to the element of course, nature. And they say that Barbatos is able to understand the language of animals, and he's able to help one find things which have been lost, or treasures. So when maybe these things he is searching for, or he's able to find, it is something that we are all able to learn from him as well. How I could describe Barbatos or represent him, I would say that he moves with the wind. It is not recognizable. He is not to be seen. It is not something that one sees, and he does not show himself. It is if Barbatos represents the 8th gate, the 8th gate is hidden. So Barbatos is hidden as well, or he hides himself. He does not want any unrequired contact, no? In the same time, he knows about our presence. He does speak about those elements, no? He does say, and many of the characters, not only in this grimoire, in the grimoire of King Paimon, very strong, in the grimoire of Asmodeus, in the grimoire of Barbatos, and maybe a few others, comes always the line, "Don't walk away from me." This I hear repeatedly, and these were the first words I heard from King Paimon. Don't walk away from me. In the case of Barbatos, I think it means the meaning to say do not walk away from something that he already knows that you need or you're searching for. No, it is something to say, maybe I can help, or maybe say Barbatos is an invitation, a form of an invitation to, no, don't walk away from me. And say there is the, of course it can be understood in many different ways, and probably it has some other meaning, maybe, that I don't know necessarily, but the point is that Barbatos has that very strong presence way, you know, it is an order, don't walk away from me. It is that strong presence. His voice is very, almost like the wind, but not the soft wind. It is like more the rasp sound of wind. When the wind is howling, you hear this, you know, it's like, it has this echo, or his words, his voice has that echo of some type of movement in the air, where something very fast, or something that one is able to hear, like the sound of the howling wind outside. Or a very rasp voice. He has a very rasp, deep voice. And he represents himself very fast in the grimoire, immediately. It's like in some of grimoires, it is a longer period until the character appears, or from the first line the character can be there, or it can appear later. And at Barbatos, it came very easily. It's like he starts very easily to speak about that type of knowledge he carries, and that type of understanding, no, that he offers. So the aspect that he is able to understand language of animal, it is to say, well, he mastered that element of nature. So, well, that's the part of being a magician as well. And the part of the north carries too a certain distance, a certain coldness, a certain wetness, a certain type of environment where very few are able to be, because it is, you know, nature sometimes cannot be reached. It is that wild, it is that far away, or it is that high, or there is something that one cannot reach in that place, no, by foot. And so, well, Barbatos is able to go places and reach places that no one else can, through his abilities, which are too secret. There are a lot of secrets about Barbatos. So the north can represent too that part of a seal, or a part of something that it is not allowed, like no entrance. It is part of something that has that it has that feeling of like you know, like the west is more open, or the south can bring you somewhere, but the north is closed. It's that element of no. It is the element of the no. There is no trespassing, or there is no entrance. There is no the entrance is not allowed. No, there's a, let's say, a limit to the place where I can go. There are places where I cannot go as well. There is a limit. No, so Barbatos is able to does not have those limits. He's able to go everywhere. He's able to reach any type of place. It does create that element of, say, that special thing or special character that only he carries. other things is like, well, he does show himself as well, but it can be for a very short period, almost like to say, for a specific reason of him appearing a few seconds, but it is not something that to say it is more a hidden aspect, or he hides himself in the meaning of he does not want to be seen or don't want to be recognized. In the same time, he can go in places where are others and not be recognized as well. It is, I said, secret. And as I said, it is part of Galactica, and I think the Grimoire of Barbatos does bring some, as I said, unique and interesting and different aspects that have a correlation with his domain that is very interesting. It can be a static domain where not a lot moves, it's very static, or it can be a place where it's wild and the nature is like a strong flowing river or very high trees, or it's like specific parts in a specific wood or in a specific place that one can feel Barbatos or see Barbatos, or he can choose to appear as well. It's almost, sometimes he appears as a shadow, sometimes between trees. He shows himself a little, then he hides himself again. It is something correlated to that observation point that a curiosity that he has too in the other person seeing, and him acknowledging and showing himself in the same time. So the aspect of Barbatos is definitely connected with secret or secrecy. Those elements are very important. That's why I do believe and think that Barbatos is very important in his function as well. And the element of the magic to be able to talk and understand the language of animals. And it is something that Barbatos can do. And he, there he gets all the help and everything he needs to be on his way, or to be on his goal, or to find the things that he searches. It is part of his success as well too, no? So the answers are given to him by the animals or by the nature. He says in the Grimoire, the wind speaks to me. He listens the language of the wind. He's able to read the language of the wind, as animals do too, because if you are able to be so close to animals, means that you have too the abilities of animals too, no? They are like very aware. They're able to able to function differently than others who do not live in the wood, because if one lives in the wood and learns that language of the wind, or is able to communicate with animals, or is able to get some information, I cannot even know how to explain it necessarily, but it is, valuable information, that's for sure, no? Let's say how one can hear the wind, how can the wind talk, how one can understand what the wind wants to say, no? But it is another connection, it is the connection to silence. And these things makes me think of King Paimon, because the thematic of King Paimon is the silence and the void. And we have to hear with Barbatos the element of silence, but the silence that reveals, the silence that talks, the silence that speaks, the silence that shows, the silence that allows that magical thing to happen in that silence. It's almost like in a forest where no one is, in total silence, suddenly a flower blooms. No, it's the element of the silence and that element of the magical, something very beautiful appearing. So, the element of the wood or the element of the forest, you say, the trees and everything is very magical, and so it is the domain of Barbatos, and it is part, when I think of silence, silence speaks to me always about knowledge, because silence is that high type of understanding that does bring one to knowledge, to the correct type of knowledge. Knowledge, it will never be found in places where it is loud. Knowledge comes from silence. So it's like, of course, Barbatos, as a true magician, he knows the value of silence. And he protects those values as well, no? The representation on the cover, so we see Barbatos, he wears a hat, like a round hat. It is specific the way he dresses himself, no? It's like with the things around him that he needs or he uses during his travels or during his woods, and he does have an entourage. He is not alone. Barbatos is not alone. Say, well, sometimes they appear, sometimes not. There is the element of invisibility as well when it comes to Barbatos. So say my grimoire, necessarily, as I've said, I have worked on the grimoire of Barbatos in a very relaxed way, in a very, say, I didn't have any questions, or I didn't have necessarily any doubts. I was more like simply writing and focusing on the book and creating the verses and the pages that I needed. And I think it is a very unique grimoire that one has to listen or read, no? It is written in hymn form, in a verse, in the lyrical way, and as all the other grimoires, from the beginning to end, where it is, as I've said, in a literal work, in a lyrical way, I have written the story of Barbatos. So, I will say there are still things for me too to discover about Barbatos. I did not yet meditate so much. So I wrote the book and then I worked on other books and other recordings. But I will in the future definitely speak in detail more about Barbatos, because I do think he does carry some secrets that I do want to understand better, and I do want to understand him better. I'm able to receive even more knowledge from that domain of him, from that point of his work as a magician, no? So, well, he has a lot of qualities that do interest me, and I do know that he carries it something very special, no? And I like that he does not show that from the beginning. He does not come with requests. He does not come with saying necessarily who he is, no? He comes with silence. He comes hidden. He comes, so I say, well, the elements of the dark chamber, or the dark woods, or the dark water, no? So, well, the magician is able to even transform the elements in the way he wants to have them. Well, he may take normal water and make it black, or he will, you know, you would say, do what magicians do. It is that element of that powerful elements of the magician, especially in the characteristics of Barbatos, that are very predominant. This is what I can say. It is very much him. It's very much Barbatos. We say the magician of the north. And even if the way may seem far, we say, well, if we imagine on the sea, no, so, well, home is far away, land is far away. There is that part of that safety that Barbatos gives, that element of the a certain point where everything does return back to that light, or to that home, or to that place of that one wants to reach. No, it is a guiding light. It is that guiding star, the North Pole. The North Star is the star that shows to the pole, to the north. So I do believe that one can find Barbatos even in, as I've said, I think he mostly travels in places that no humans are. So in places like very north, very pole north, no, or it can be any other place, does not matter. But I do think he travels in those places. So, if he's the magician of the north, it means that that is his territory, that it is his domain. So probably, mostly he goes there, no? It is his, to say, his home is not a home as a room for us. His home is the part of the north. That's all what it is included. And as I've said, the color green is very important. It is the color of the magician, the color green. It is the color of the emerald stone, which has magical properties as well, the emerald. And of course a very specific, amazing, beautiful green as well, the tourmaline green or the emerald green. It is a green that is filled with light in a crystal form. So everything that it is found in the forest, from crystals, different trees, plants, flowers, everything, no? It has a connection with Barbatos, has a connection, or Barbatos with those aspects as well. And Barbatos looks like a very young man, almost like a young boy in that meaning, how he shows himself. But it is the element of the young. There is some type of unexperienced element that is not to say, well, the magician does not say, I learned everything and now I can rest. No, it is never so. It is always a certain higher understanding that attracts one's attention. There is more to be shown, there is more to be known. And if there is a part, it is only for certain things or certain purpose, that part too, it is not given, which is okay. It is not to say, well, we have the 8 gates, maybe 7 are given, but the 8 are not. That is Barbatos, that it is his gate. So, we say, well, it's connected to the number 8. Barbatos is connected with the number 8. Even his name, we have Barbatos, we have 8 letters, because he represents the 8th gate. So, the element of the green too is connected to the number 8. You know, there is a special resonance too between green and the color 8. And there are magical abilities that Barbatos has and uses as well, of course, as a magician. And he does have, I think, a love for very beautiful or very wild type of environments or natural landscapes as well. You know, I see more like a very open valley, like a lot of snow, a lot of frozen ice, or the river is frozen and it's just wild nature around, you know. That's very much element of Barbatos. Especially if one sees like caves or mountains, or the element of the 8, you know, one sees different valleys or something very intricate in some way or another, or it's something very you know, it's a specific type of magic too, I think, that Barbatos uses, and it has to sometimes to do with forgetting or with not remembering. It's like some memories are deleted or some memories are forgotten. And the element of the silence, there is, of course, it is almost to say, is the element of the first gate, to say, well, as I've said, knowledge without silence is not knowledge. Knowledge comes from silence. It has to have that origin as well. I will continue to talk another time about Barbatos, but I will say that for the collection of Galactica, I think Barbatos is a great grimoire. I think it does carry something unique that all the other grimoires do not have, and has very interesting story, interesting knowledge as well. And I'm happy that I was able to write the grimoire of Barbatos. I think he is a very interesting character, a very interesting magician as well, and I do want to learn about him even more in the future, and I will meditate on his thematics even more. And there is the book of Barbatos in paper if you want to buy it or have a look at it. at the cover, at the description of the book, on the back cover as well. There is a link in the description box below with a link that brings you directly to the book, as well to the playlist of Barbatos that I will record as well, and I will speak more about his thematics in the future. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time, all the best to you. Bye.